Hello, everyone. So,
we had some major technical difficulties, you guys.
This is the first time, and we've done a bunch of webinars. And I don't know why this one just wasn't working. So, we had to go to plan B.
We were sitting there, talking to ourselves, and there was nobody there. And we're like, okay, this isn't right. This, can't be working.
Right.
And so I went in and, it just wasn't working. The program just wasn't working. I don't know if it was down or what. So we have to improvise, and here we are on our Facebook page. This is not what we were expecting to do, but sometimes shit happens, and you just have to roll with it. So here we are, and we're sorry, you guys, for being late. We respect people's time, and we're never late. And
So do me a favor. Say hello, first off.
Yeah, please.
Secondly, just say yes if you were signed up to join us on the other link, and now you're on our Facebook group. So
I know. I just had to send out an email to everybody that was supposed to join us there, so hopefully people get it. We're going to send out the replay, so it's fine. Let's all take a deep breath. This is going to be fun. We have a value-packed training
big time
for you guys. We're going to go through some really cool stuff and some good info.
Oh,
Kristen.
nice.
Okay, cool. So we are up. We are running.
Okay.
Let's just keep it moving, people. Let's work with what we got.
All right, cool. Awesome.
Okay, cool.
So glad.
Okay.
So glad.
Tina, you got the email.
I feel good now.
Lord
I felt so bad. So sorry, everyone. Out of our control.
Sometimes you just cannot control the tech stuff.
No.
Okay, cool. All right, cool.
Woo!
Yay. Okay.
Awesome.
So everybody that's here live with us, say hi. Where are you? We always
Everybody said hi.
I know, but where are you? Where are you in the country? And are you currently traveling? Are you a dreamer? Where are you at on your traveling journey? And how'd you reactivate my Facebook account for this? Oh, awesome. Okay, yay. I'm glad that we were able to get that out. Hopefully people get it. But yeah, let us know where you're from, where you're at. And if you want to be fun, drop an emoji of how you want to feel at the end of this training.
Whoa, that's a new one.
Do you want to feel excited? Do you want to feel an angry face?
And just know that those little pink things that look cute, that's an angry face. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Don't do those. We don't do angry faces.
No. So, like we said.
Email. Sorry.
Housekeeping.
Oh, that's fine. People who need to find us will find us. We're just going to keep it rolling.
Do you want to answer it and I can do the interview? Or the introduction?
Well, first I just wanted to say that before we do into that, first assignment in Salem, North Carolina. Awesome. This is a 2-part training. And so, we get so many questions from travelers, right? Or people who are just starting out. And the whole saying yes to traveling, saying, hell yes, it sounds fun. This sounds like an adventure. Sign me up. Where do I sign? That's the easy part, right? That's the fun part. That's the exciting part, right? But the steps that come next, that's where things can feel a little bit overwhelming or unclear. Where do I begin? What are the first steps? You feel like you have a million things going on and so much to learn. And you're like, what do I do first? What do I do next, right? And so that's why we really wanted to create this training to kind of do how to really prep to go. What are the top 3 things that you want to do first? And then go through that. And then we're also going to do part 2 tomorrow we'll do part 2. And that will be about preparing to go financially and getting more into the money.
How much money do you need to go? We'll tell you our story with that. And then just all the money stuff, to and from that, how the money works in the travel field, because that is what a lot of people do want to know as well. But for all of you guys that do not know who we are, my name is Erran. Beautiful wife Kim got her hair done today. She looked good.
I got a Brazilian blowout, you guys.
Yeah.
It takes all the frizz out.
So we have been traveling for 6 years now. I do intervention radiology. Kim is a sonographer. So we are in that even smaller niche of travelers, which is radiology, which is awesome. And I think there's a lot more out there than people give us credit for. We're more of a quiet group, they say. But it's awesome to be a part of it. And what we have done is taken everything that we learned, everything that we wanted when we started traveling, and we started doing trainings free in our Facebook group, which is Travel Life Freedom and Scrubs. We have over 3,000 awesome, amazing people in there. And we also are the creators of Traveler School. Traveler School is an online program that gets really, really in depth. It teaches you basically how there's couch to 5K. This is couch to seasoned professional traveler. We give you everything that you need to know in a 7-module online program that you can do all at once, or you can do it over time. You have all the, you have it for eternity. And Kim and I also do an interactive portion in that Facebook, in that elite or exclusive Traveler School Facebook group. And we go through every module every week for 7 weeks, and we are there with you and we walk you through it, makes you understand it. So that is our Traveler School. So it's
basically everything you need to know wrapped up into one easy, simple place to navigate, get all the information, know you're getting good, correct information, and in a supportive environment where you don't have to think a whole lot about it. It's all done for you. We do all the heavy lifting. So that's what that's about.
All right. Okay. I love everybody coming in here. This is awesome.
Alaska.
Debbie Davis is on.
Hey, Debbie. My mom's friend. Okay,
Missouri,
cool.
We
Dreamer
got
from California.
Awesome. Ashley, UC Health Denver, first assignment. Congrats, that's awesome. Dreamer from Louisiana, first assignment, Winston-Salem. Awesome. Cool. Congrats, Caitlin. This is great.
Welcome, you guys. Everybody, welcome. And what we're really going, hey, Tracy.
Hey, Tracy. Is it Tracy or Trixie? Which one do we have on today?
I like Trixie. Tracy's feisty. Okay, so what we're really going to touch on, and this is a really value-packed training, and we really want to get through quite a bit of stuff with you guys. And so we're going to kind of go over like some basic stuff. We won't dive too deep into these topics because that could take us down a whole rabbit hole. So we're just going to give you the stuff that we feel is really important to know to get you started. So we'll just kind of touch on some things briefly, okay? So we're going to start with giving you a little bit of an inside scoop into what traveling life is really like. How much experience do you really need kind of with companies, things like that. The 3 steps that you want to do first, most important things to do. And then, is that it for this one?
And the number one thing you can do right now.
Right now. Okay.
Right? To prepare yourself and set up for your success in the travel world.
Yes.
Waving from Duke NC. Love it.
I love it.
Wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
I love it. Okay, here we go. So we already did the introduction. So we're going to start with this. And I know some people on here are already dreamers, and the people who want to travel, haven't started, don't really know exactly what to expect, right? We started traveling 6 years ago. We had no idea what to expect. Like, we just went into it on a whim. There weren't a lot of other resources that we had, no resources, nobody to ask questions to. So we didn't have an inside scoop. So we wanted to give you guys a little bit of an inside scoop of what to expect, because traveling is amazing and we want everybody to travel. It's the best decision we've ever made, but it's not all rainbows and butterflies. At all. It can be very tiring, and there's a lot that it's a different way of living. It's a different way of working. It's a different lifestyle. So a couple things to really think about when you're going to start traveling is you're going to be moving around all the time. Okay, that's a given, right? We're traveling. Like that's one of our favorite parts, right? Like that's the fun part about traveling, is you get to live in another city every couple of months. But the logistical stuff that comes with it, it can be very tiring. It can be draining. You're always trying to find a new place to live. You're in the car from point A to point B, or flying can be expensive, right? So that's definitely something to think about. It's a totally different way of living. You are in motion. You are living life in motion. You are not staying in one place. Some people love it. Some people, it can be very tiresome. We love it. After 6 years, we are feeling it a little bit, where we are a little bit tired, but it took us 6 years to actually feel that way. We loved moving.
We say we're tired, and then we rest for the contract. We're like, ready to go again.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so that's one thing that you really, really want to think about. You're going to be moving around. You're going to be packing up. You're going to be loading the car, all the things. Okay.
And we're just going to skim the surface of this one, because it is what we mainly talk about tomorrow in part 2. You gotta understand that when you are moving around a lot, you have to prepare financially for that move. You do get travel reimbursement that is on your first check and your last check. So it's not like people are fronting you money to just drive around. So you got to prepare for that. If you're going to find your own housing, there's a lot to prepare for. And that's why we broke this up into 2 parts, but that is something else to understand moving forward. The big one that a lot of people do have some tough times with, I know it's more of an internal battle than an external, in my opinion, is always being the new kid on the block. Mm-hmm. And you're the new kid every 3 months. And to be honest with you, I'm dealing with it right now that honestly, people don't care about your experience when they come in. They want to make sure that you can do the job, what is best for their facility. I'm at Yale right now. Yale doesn't care that I've been anywhere else. Yale wants to know that I know how to do the job like Yale does it, period. They don't want any outside advice. They don't want nothing. They just say, can you handle this or not? And so they're not mean about it. I'm just saying. That you're like, man, like I've seen it done this way. I've seen it done that way. Like this would be really fast. This would be, here, can I help with this? This is how we could do. No, we don't want any of that. And so you're always feeling like, man, they don't really know like the true me. Like I'm not able to express my talents fully yet. Because as you get there, you get to experience that. But you are the new kid. You are trying to learn their ways. And you learn one, and then you leave, and you have to erase it and start from scratch again.
Right. You're always walking into a new environment. You're always the new kid working with new doctors, new techs, new nurses, whatever your modality is, whatever your field is. It's always something new procedures, new ways of doing things. Everything is new, and and it's amazing because you learn and you grow so much. The positive of that is like,
if you're willing to.
Like if you have an open mind and you're willing to learn, I'm a way better sonographer now, 6 years in, than I was when I started traveling, because I have learned so much from some of the best sonographers I've ever worked with, right? And so if you have that open-mindedness and a willingness to learn, perfect. But knowing that sometimes it can be a little draining. It takes a couple of weeks to really get adjusted, to get in the flow, right? Like you come in, you're brand new, everything's new. It's like, holy crap, I have a lot to learn. And then you find your flow and you like get into it, and then boom, you're gone. You're off to the next and you're starting brand new again. So definitely something to think about.
When I left Jacksonville, I was like really good at my job in IR. I didn't know jack shit like when I left there, to be honest with you. From what I've learned on the road, I'm like, I didn't know anything. Like that's crazy to look back at. And it's just, it's a cool thing, but it's also can be very taxing on people. It's draining to some people if you're not prepared to have an open mind, to have the willingness to learn.
And I want to say too, like, traveling in a nutshell is you're living life outside of your comfort zone in every single way, pretty much in your life, whether you're in a new city, meeting new people, working in a new environment, experiencing new cultures, new people, new cities, just everything is so new. Nothing is comfortable. Nothing is easy. Nothing is familiar. And so we have this really cool opportunity to not only have this amazing adventure and like travel, but to grow so much as a person, right? Because you are constantly being tested and constantly stepping out of your comfort zone. And to some people, they don't want to step out of their comfort zone. It feels like shaky. It feels uncomfortable, right? But just know, as a traveler, that is the gig. That is what you're signing up for. That's what you're signing up for. And it gets easier and easier and easier every time that you do it, and you kind of build that muscle up and you build that confidence up, and it feels fun, right? Because it's not mundane. It's always changing. It's always different. But you're living life outside of your comfort zone in every single way possible. And that's really fun, but it can also feel very scary at first. But that's why we have these cool supportive Facebook groups that we can all connect with each other and help each other.
All these are here now. I do want to say, because it is you want to talk about a niche on top of a niche. Ashley, that is amazing that you're an IR tech. Are you a traveler? If you are, where are you at? Because IR people, man, that's a small family right there.
Erran loves seeing another IR tech.
Oh, man, it's amazing. So,
and I love stenographers and everybody.
We love everybody, but come on. I mean, like, honestly, we do.
So, again, something to think about. And then the last thing we'll say about that is that so on the flip side, it's really cool because you are living in these places, and most of our experiences have been really positive and really fun. The people have been great. We've met like friends from all over the country. But if you do get into a situation where it's like not the best and you're not having like the time of your life, it's temporary, right? Everything is 13 weeks or whatever. It's mostly 13 weeks. And you get to just get in there, do the damn thing, and get out, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to stick around. And that's one of the coolest things because it's temporary. You can get through anything, right? So definitely.
Ashley's on her first assignment in Denver.
Woo!
That's awesome.
I love Colorado.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Yes.
Right,
so Ashley, make sure that, I don't know if you're in our other Travel Life Freedom and Scrubs group, but please join because I need my IR people there.
I know. Our group is a lot of radiology people. We're trying to spread more awareness to the radiology community because traveling has always been like nurses.
There's a bunch.
And there are, and it's amazing, but we're trying to like represent.
Well, we got therapy, we got speech pathology, we got it all. So
registered
awesome.
Nurse.
Beautiful.
We love everybody.
Everybody. Okay. This is all inclusive.
All right. So the next thing we'll talk really briefly about is training, how much experience that you need to have. So basically, in a nutshell, for sonographer, companies require 1 to 2 years. The company I work for requires 1 year of experience. IR, 1 year of experience.
1 year experience.
I know therapists can start right out the gate. They can graduate and like start traveling right away. They don't need any experience. Nurses, from what I understand, it's about 1.5 years, 2 years experience depending on the company.
From talking to other nurses, and then also, I'm working with a travel nurse right now who's in IR, and she doesn't have very much experience. So we did hear that it was 1 year of experience in your discipline. So like, Erran is a registered nurse in med-surg, so it would be like 1 year in med-surg, or if you have ICU experience, I'm sure that can cross over in different ways, and I'm pretty sure that if she was an ICU nurse and she could come down to IR, because we do allow, or ER, we allow that into IR a lot, or an OR nurse. So it just depends on how that is. But basically for radiology, we're looking at a year of experience in your modality.
And what I want to say to that is that these are what the companies require. But again, it's not about the quantity of years, it's about the quality, right? It's about having that strong foundation of like your skill set, right? Of being confident in your skill set, of being confident in whatever it is that you're doing, having a willingness to learn and really being able to get out there and hit the ground running, being able to learn things, pick up things quickly, and just being solid in what you already know. Right? Because you could be a tech for 5 years and not know shit. Let's be honest,
I mean, you could be working at a very small facility and you're a nurse, you're a tech, you're whatever, you're a therapist, and you haven't been exposed to very much, but you have like 10, 15 years experience. And then you get somebody who has 1 year experience, but they were at a huge trauma facility. They went around the different modalities or different floors, different units. They're going to be like crushing it, even though they have 1 year experience, right? So it just depends. And it also depends how that person absorbs all of that information as well. So again, it's quality, not quantity. But a lot of people do require right out the gate these certain numbers to be travelers.
Right. I've worked with years of experience and it was terrifying. Like honestly, like what they
100%.
Like they should never have been like picking up probes. But so it just goes to show. And then I've worked with people who have been like students that were like the best sonographers I've ever seen.
Exactly.
So it's all about the quality of your experience.
All right. So all this sounds good to you. You're buzzing. For all of our dreamers out there, for all the people that are on contracts, hang in there. We're coming at you. This is so all this stuff sounds good. And it's right up your alley. So now what, right?
Right. So now we're going to get into the first 3 things that you've said, yes, you want to travel. What do you do next, right? What are the 3 things you really want to have set up in like tight before you start traveling? So that's what we're going to get into, those 3 things. In the meantime, while we start chatting, anybody who's on here who is in radiology, whatever you are, just like put a little heart or an emoji, because I'm just interested to see how many like radiology people are on here. Mm-hmm. So that will be a fun game. Okay. So first thing you want to think about, the very first thing is finding the right recruiter and company to work with. Mm-hmm. This is, we're going to give you a lesson on what not to do. What we did is that we heard about traveling and we like cold called a company and like worked with the first recruiter that we got on the phone. And we didn't know shit. Like we didn't know the right questions to ask. Like we're like, oh, she's nice and like she got us a job. We're travelers. And like long story short, we made tons of mistakes. She was not treating us fairly in a lot of ways when it comes to pay and stuff like that. And it was just, now that we know all the things we know, we're like, damn, man, she like ran us hard. So do not cold call a company. Do your due diligence, because your recruiter and the company that you work, or really not the company, the recruiter that you work with is your ride or die. This person is going to have so much influence in your jobs and how easy it is for you to get jobs and the money you're making. Like, this is your person.
It's your partner in crime.
You want to vet them.
Right.
And vet them well.
Right.
And I see a lot of sonographers, I see a lot of travelers being like, oh, my recruiter is great, like, work with my recruiter. And I get that, right? But like, not all recruiters are created equal, and really understanding what makes a recruiter a good recruiter. We didn't even know, like, people
What's
like,
a good recruiter,
we're like,
right?
what does that mean? I have no idea what that means. Well, we know what that means now, but back then we didn't, right? And so your friend may be like, work with my recruiter, they're awesome, but like, in reality, that recruiter may not be that great. And it's up to you to educate and empower yourself to understand what a good recruiter is to you. Do you want to say something? I feel like I'm talking a lot.
No, I mean, you were on a roll.
Okay.
But no, I think, again, it's like, we say that, find what a good recruiter is, but it also takes learning what those things are. What are things that you look for in a good recruiter? These are questions that you should be asking. These are questions that you should know, right?
But how do you know the answers to those? That's my point. Like, how do you know the answers, right?
Well, correct.
So really, we're going to give you a couple of resources here. One resource is Nomadicare, which is a company that one of our dear friends runs, and she basically vets the recruiters and it's free, right? It's like free to travelers, totally. And she makes sure that the recruiters that she's pairing her travelers with are of the highest good. Like, they're paying fairly, which means they're paying a higher rate for OT, on-call, holiday. We won't dive into all of that kind of stuff, because that's a whole nother rabbit hole of why you should be getting paid for that, because not all recruiters do. And especially if you work in radiology and we have to take call a lot, you want to make sure you're getting that higher rate. And there's only some recruiters that are willing to do that. But there's a lot of things that go into it. And so she makes sure that all the recruiters are vetted. And
she's basically the recruiter traveler matchmaker.
Yeah.
So she's going to see what kind of insurance benefits you need, what kind of region of the country do you want to go, and she's going to pair you up with that specific recruiter that will match your energy level, right?
Yeah.
Like, she's very good at that. And only 1 of 4 recruiters make her list.
Yeah.
And we have a recruiter through her. And to answer Kristen's question, we both do have the same recruiter. It is easier for us because of the fact that we are different modalities. So he runs both of us. And there's also another company that we have the same recruiter as well.
Yeah.
And that one is through Nomadicare, and we have the same guy.
Yeah, you want to work with a couple different recruiters, because you want to keep your options open, because different recruiters have different jobs going on. It's a great way to compare pay packages and just be more competitive. And so Laura actually does an entire module in travel school. Yep. Module 3. It is a priceless module, because she really breaks down what questions should you be asking your recruiter when you're vetting them yourself, right? What red flags should you be looking for? What makes a good recruiter, right? How do you work with multiple recruiters? Comparing contracts, all of that kind of stuff. She really tackles and dives deep in that module. So it's a really great resource for anybody that wants to really dive into that. But whether you do or you don't, really just take the time to do your research and make sure you're asking good questions. How do they pay? How do they pay for overtime rate? Do they pay more for extensions? How many travelers do they have at their desk? Like, do they get back to you? Like, know the right questions to ask so that you're pairing up with somebody good from the beginning.
Right.
And you're not wasting years like we did with somebody who we lost like thousands and thousands
but
and
we
thousands
loved her.
of dollars. I loved her. But looking back, like, she robbed us blind, and it wasn't her fault. It was our fault, because we weren't educated and we didn't know the right questions to ask, and we didn't know what was considered fair. And so we didn't ask, and she didn't tell us.
Right.
That's why you take the time to educate yourself, so you're empowered and you can take the control and ask the right questions. So okay.
Kristen, husband is an RN and I'm CT. Can we have the same recruiter? A lot of times the RN branch and the allied health branch is 2 different branches.
Yeah.
So you would have different recruiters.
Yeah, so like for us, we work for club staffing, and our recruiter is only allied, and then they have a whole nother branch that is nursing only. So usually that's
usually how it works. Maybe
Something
there are
different.
some recruiters out there that handle both nurses and allied. Not sure. Please don't quote me on that, but we haven't experienced that because we ain't nurses.
Yeah, exactly. The last thing we'll say about that is, do you want to say this about just kind of like building? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm following, just waiting to
I
get
got
in.
on a roll.
I know.
Just say, hey.
Okay.
Time out.
Hey, time out. It's time to shout. Let's shake it up and work it anyway. I do that for my timeouts in my IR room, and people love it. But you know, your recruiter is, again, we said, your ride or die kind of person, and it's like a marriage, to be honest with you. And you have to build that relationship, right? You are wanting a good recruiter. They are wanting a good traveler. Okay, so they are relying on you to go out there and show up and be the best version of yourself and make your company look good to where the hospital is like, man, we want another traveler like that. So can you send us another one, because they were phenomenal. And that's what you want. And then your recruiter is like, okay, like next time when there's a job opening, I know who I'm going to, right? Yeah. They have a whiteboard. They write down their best travelers on their whiteboard, and they know when these jobs pop up, they're sending those people to the front because they know they're going to go in there and kill it, right? But that takes time. It takes time to develop. They have to trust you. You have to trust them, okay? So it's not like we meet, we high five, and we get married. I mean, some people do it in Vegas. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, how long do those last? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But it's more likely that it's going to last when you actually cultivate the relationship. It
takes time on both ends. And also, even if you don't know when you're going to start traveling, if you don't have like a specific date, it's still worth doing the time now to get the ball rolling and taking the time to get your recruiters like lined up, so that when you're ready to roll. Like you've got your people, you're like, hey, here's my start date, I'm ready to go, and you have your people. So
once you've lined up your company, you've lined up your recruiter, now what they're going to want is they're going to want references. And the reason that we threw this in there is we see this all the time. People are like, I don't want to tell my job that I'm leaving, but I can't give them a date because I'm not sure how the travel works. When am I going to get a job? But I have to have references before I can get on with a company. And it's like this chicken or the egg kind of thing, right? Yeah. And so we have a couple things that we want to give to you. You know, there's two scenarios. My scenario was I basically sat down with my director, and I was the lead of a department, and I said, hey, listen, Kim and I are going to travel. We both worked at the same facility. Kim and I are going to travel. We have to look into this. It's something we have to do. It's a calling of ours. I don't know when I'm going, but I can give you a 3-month kind of thing now that I want to go in this area, but I'm not sure yet because the jobs aren't posted. I wanted to come to you because when that job hits, I'm able to put in my notice and kind of go. She was like, oh man, blah, 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 but she was happy for us. So there's that way. The other way is trying to figure out how to get some references.
Not everybody will be comfortable, and we totally you can hospital. Be honest, talk it out. Most people are more understanding than you think.
Right.
But if you feel like that's really not an option and you want to kind of test the waters and see what's out there before you want to tell your actual job you're leaving, they're going to want references. So before you can start with a company, you have to give references. It's like one of the first steps. And different companies require different things. So I have a funny story about that because we just had a situation with a girl who really wanted to start traveling, and she didn't want to tell her hospital yet. And the company that she was talking with were making her get a reference letter from her supervisor. So she couldn't get it from a doctor. She couldn't get it from a friend. She couldn't get it from a professor or, a teacher or clinical instructor. Nobody. It had to be from the supervisor. And she's like, well, shit, I'm not going to be able to do this because I don't want to tell them right now. It just doesn't feel right. So I'm like, okay, let me give you the information to my recruiter, see if he can work with you, right? Because they understand, right? They work with a lot of new travelers. They understand that this is kind of a tricky thing sometimes. It's a sticky situation. So anyways, he said, she just had an evaluation done a little bit ago, and they were able to, from her supervisor, and so they were able to use that as a reference until she actually started traveling, and then got some more references along the way, because you'll get references as you go through your travel assignments. So that was the perfect option, right? So different companies will have different requirements, but it's something you want to start thinking about now, is that before you can actually start traveling, or get a, you know, like you send a resume, skills checklist, and then references. So you're always going to have to produce some kind of a reference to the company. So something to definitely start thinking about who you can ask, and a good question to ask your recruiter when you're interviewing them to see if they're a good fit, of like, hey, what would you require me to give you for a reference? So.
To answer some questions here, Vicky, yes, if you're having internet issues like we were, some technical difficulties, this will be available to watch later. We will keep it up. Also, will we send it in an email? I can do that. I can download the video and send it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We'll put it on our YouTube and just go from there. And then Jasmine, I'm currently still a student. You kind of answered my question, but to elaborate, do you think I should look for a recruiter while I'm still doing my externship, DMS, Diagnostic Medical Sonographer?
Yeah,
if that's what it is, then you need a year experience.
Yeah, I would say no to that, because it would be too soon. Because you need to get at least a year experience before you can actually start traveling. So I would wait like a few months before. Like, you kind of know you want to start traveling, and it's going to be maybe even a few months. Like, you can still get the ball rolling, but I would say now is too early. Yeah. I know it sucks. You have to wait a year.
I know.
But during this year, get all the experience you can, and really get confident in your skill set, and really be like ready to roll when that year comes around.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
No other questions in the minute. Hey, Ashley, another sonographer. Okay. Number one, finding your recruiter. Number two, you're going to have to get references. These are the first two steps that you're going to have to take. Number three, this is the most important one of all, you guys. Okay.
Ready?
You want me to start it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I wanted to say this, like,
Kim rolls with this really well.
Well, we're not going to dive too deep into this, because this is a really loaded subject. But we're going to give you kind of what you need to know to begin, the information to get you started. Okay. So number three, the most important piece of the puzzle, is that you want to have a tax home set up before you start traveling. So a tax home, because people hear, oh, we're travelers, we get free money, how cool are we? We get tax-free, tax-free money. How cool is that, right? And it is really cool, and it's a perk, and it's why we make more money in some situations. But in order to qualify for tax-free money, you have to have a tax home set up. It has to be in place, okay? You can still travel. You don't have to have a tax home. You could still travel. That's totally fine. But every dollar you make will be taxed. It will be all income. You will not qualify for any tax-free money. So you have to have a tax home set up. How you do that is a very kind of
There's two ways.
What do you mean?
Go ahead. You roll with yours.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, the reason why is a very brief explanation here. I'm not gonna, again, but like, you have your tax home, okay, and you're paying money into this, right? Every single month.
Which is your home.
It's your home, yes.
Right now.
Your home, where you're living.
If you're not a traveler,
you're dwelling.
Where you're living.
Where you're at, okay. So you have this home, and now you're temporarily leaving this home to go work somewhere else that is not commutable, right? So you cannot, realistically, there's no mileage here. It's a whole nother story. There's no exact mileage of how far you have to be, but it has to be a realistic mileage that you just could not commute. Like, you would be like, this is ridiculous. I can't do it. You have to put your head down somewhere else, far away, to work at this location. Okay. Now, you're not picking up and moving there, because this isn't like you're picking up your life and you're taking a new job. This is a temporary assignment, right? So the IRS looks at that and says, okay, right? She's duplicating expenses, essentially. She's paying money into this house number one, your home, your tax home where you live. And now she's having to travel away and spend money on food and housing and all of the things to work in this area temporarily. So we're going to help her offset the costs, make her life a little bit easier, and we're going to give her some tax-free money up front, which is a perk of being a traveler. You don't have to show any receipts. Well, that's a whole nother story. But they give you the tax-free money up front. So that's why we get tax-free money, because you're duplicating your expenses. They don't just poof give it to you because they like you and think you're cool because you're a traveler. It's because of this tax home. Right. So if you do not have this set up properly, you cannot receive tax-free money legally. And if you were ever to get audited, and you couldn't prove that you had a tax home, then like you would be in big trouble.
You would get, there's a lot that goes into that, which is scary and not cool. But there's two ways to do that. So you can have a mortgage, right? If you have a home, if you have a mortgage, then you're good. That's your home. You're good to go. If you have an apartment, then you have to have a rent. You have to be paying rent to someone. And it can't be just like mom and dad shooting them $25. You have to have a fair market value. So whatever your location is, whatever one bedroom with a bathroom and a kitchen goes for, you have to have that set up, right? Yeah, so you can't just be like, mom and dad discount, because it has to be fair market value. So I'm from Titusville, Florida. That is a very low, like, doesn't cost much to live there. So having a room there would be cheaper than if I was in San Francisco. Right. Having a room in there would probably be $1,500. That's why there's not too many travelers from San Francisco, right? Because they'd have to duplicate expenses. And that'd be a lot. So we are from Florida, where a lot of travelers come from, because it is very cheap to live there. And boom, and the wages aren't as good. And so you can go and make a killing on the road.
So the three things, the three basic things that you want to think about right now, again, this is just to get you started, okay? And then you're going to do your research and really understand the ins and outs of tax homes. Which we dive really deep into this in travel.
Oh my God.
We have Joseph Smith. TravelTax.com is a great resource. He is a traveler that turned into an accountant, and he specializes in taxes specifically for mobile people, travelers like ourselves. So he's a great resource for this. He does a whole training inside Traveler School. We break this down. We go into deep detail so you really understand everything. But the three simple things that you want to think about right now is what makes a tax home. What I said in the beginning, it has to be, you have to take a contract that's not commutable from where this residence is. So if my tax home is in Titusville, I couldn't take a job in Cocoa Beach, which is like
Orlando.
20 minutes away, right? Like that, they would be like, girl, you do not need to like sleep somewhere. Like you can drive back and forth. So I would not be eligible to receive the tax-free money. So it has to be far away. Second thing to think about is what Erran said. You have to pay fair market value for rent, to rent a room. You don't have to rent a whole house. You don't have to rent a mansion, but you have to have a room. You could if you wanted to, but you have to have a room. You have to have access to kitchen, bathroom, all of that kind of stuff, right? And it has to be what everybody else would pay.
Right.
It could be from your mom.
And do not pay cash to somebody, please. Yeah. You need to have a paper trail, blah, blah, blah. This is why we don't want to dive too far down into this. Yeah. Because it just, there's a lot. There's a lot legit. To cover. Right. It's got to be a legit place. Erran had a good question.
Okay, let me say the third, and then we'll get into the question. So, I was like, first is that it can't be commutable. Second is that you have to pay fair market value. And again, I just want to say you can rent from mom and dad in that area if you've already worked in that area. But like you can't just pay them $25 a month. It has to be what they would charge Joey off the street, whatever, okay? The third thing, what is the third thing? Oh, you can't abandon the home. This is your home. Like,
that's good.
This is your home. Like you can't just never come back. You have to come back to the home. So there's so much gray area in our field, in our industry. There's no exact amount of
time you have to be home.
Days that the IRS says like you have to come back. Smith, who is the expert in this, has said that when he's gone through audits, 30 days seems to be a good number that like appeases the auditors. So returning back to your tax home 30 days out of a year doesn't have to be consecutive.
And I always say when you go back, don't be like, oh, everybody's partying because Erran's back home and they're going to pay for everything. You need to pay for some stuff. You need to show that you were there for a total of the 30 days, right? Yeah. Erran said, so if I have a mortgage, then I'm on track, correct? Absolutely.
Girl, you are golden. Good to go.
As long as you don't, do Rule 3 and abandon it, or rent it all out, rent the whole house out, and you don't have a room to return to.
Right. So you have to be able to come back to it. It's your house. You have to be able to lay your head down at night there.
Thank you for the link for more information about tax home, because my tax home is my parents' home, and I gave them money towards rent. Fair market value would kill them when they what?
Yeah. So are you asking Caitlin, are you asking if your parents have to claim it as income on their taxes? If that's what you're asking, just let us know if that's what you're asking. That's what it kind of sounds like. That yes, like technically, if you can't control what your parents do, right? But technically, if you're paying them rent, which is extra income, they should be claiming that on their taxes.
Should be. But Joseph Smith even says it, and I'll give you a little bit of insight to our awesome interview that we have in Traveler School. But Joseph Smith does say you can't control your parents. So as long as you're paying them, then you're covered under your tax home, right? As long as you're paying them. And
your parents, if they want to like love you for the rest of their life, they can always gift you a big gift at the end of the year.
Right.
Hush, hush. Okay. But whatever. You can't control your parents, but these are the rules. This is what you're supposed to do. Okay?
Correctamundo.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this? Are you guys lost? Are you confused? Are you like, what the F are you talking about? Do you have a question?
No, I just want to feel part of the group. I want to feel part of the group.
Let us know if you guys have any questions. Those are really the first 3 things that you want to line up before you start traveling. You want to get all your duckies in a row so that when you do start, it's a smooth process. It's an easier process. You're setting yourself up for success, and you're not making a zillion mistakes and losing thousands of dollars like we did when we first started 6 years ago, because we were freaking hot messes.
So I didn't in the introduction tell you the second piece to our family.
Oh, we have a baby. You can travel with kids too.
This is Mimi LaRue. For all of you that don't know, she is our Traveler School mascot. She travels with us. She's been traveling with us since day 1.
Yes.
So she knows the ins and outs. So if your pets have any questions, Mimi has her own phone line that we let her have in her room that she can call her pet friends and talk to them about how pet travels go.
Yeah.
So.
This baby.
Yeah.
She's everywhere. She's all over Traveler School. She's literally in every video.
She's our logo, as you haven't seen. Anyway, we're going to move on.
Okay. Like schizo. All right. So that's the 3 things. We're going to wrap up with this. The number 1 thing you can do right now to prepare yourself, okay? And I want to preface this too. To prepare yourself to start traveling, but also, if you've been traveling for years, you still want to be thinking about this stuff because, again, it's not about the quantity. It's about the quality of the knowledge that you've learned along the way. Erran and I have traveled for 6 years now. We didn't know any of this shit until years.
2-3 years in.
We were like hot messes, making tons of mistakes, losing money, just out of control because we didn't know there was anything to know. We didn't realize that there was anything to learn and to understand and to absorb. And so don't do what we did.
Right.
That's how we started this whole thing.
Right. Absolutely. And that, good. I have my hand up.
I was going to say that when we did realize that there was some stuff to learn and we started realizing there was other resources and we started like spending hours and hours and months trying to piece together information, trying to figure this stuff out, trying to read this blog and this Facebook forum on this YouTube video and like trying to figure this out. And it was stressful and it felt overwhelming because we were like, is this correct information? Is this all we need to know? Or like people would just like talk about a subject, but they wouldn't dive in deep in the hood. So it would leave us with questions that we still had. And it was like, it just felt so crazy. It felt so overwhelming to us. And so go ahead, babe.
I can literally, I don't have enough fingers or toes to count how many travelers that we have seen and run into and traveling friends that we've said, hey, by the way, where's your tax home? And they say, I kid you not, what's a tax home?
No clue.
Like, what? Like, what about this? Or what about that? Or what about the bill rate? Do you understand the bill rate? Do you understand, like, how your pay is broken down? Do you understand that you can get more for overtime and call? Like they're just like what? Like you can do that? Like so it doesn't matter how long you've been traveling. It matters the kind of quality of maybe you've been around some travelers that understand this stuff and they're able to help school you. In radiology, we don't see very many travelers side by side. We are usually the only traveler in the department. So it's not like I can just run it by the other traveler. And so that's why we created Travel Life Freedom and Scrubs is, you know, to give you that knowledge base with some free trainings. And then we took it up a notch and took it to Traveler School.
Well, and I want to say too, like, don't rely on your recruiter for
knowledge. Holy shit, that's huge.
This is huge because they're not bad people, right?
No.
But your recruiter only knows what he was taught. So he or she like doesn't necessarily know the ins and outs of what our taxes look like, right? Or like what is good for the company may not be good for you if you were to get audited. So you don't want to rely on your recruiter. You want to empower yourself and educate yourself so you know the right questions to ask your recruiter and actually school your recruiter if they don't understand this. Recruiters spread not right information. Like for years, like, you know, we thought the 50-mile rule was a real thing. And like, thank God we have a tax home and we've never wanted to ever work around it. We always wanted to get far, far, far away from it. But if we had listened to that rule, like,
right,
we would have been in trouble if we were.
Well, there was a lot of things that our recruiter told us, and it wasn't her fault. It's just that's how she was trained, and then she never learned. Beneficially, there are so many groups out there. Travel Life Freedom and Scrubs is not a recruiter group. We only have travelers in there. But there's so many now, and these recruiters want to learn. And there's tons of them that are out there learning, which is amazing because it's making things easier. But as the traveler, you got to clean up your side of the street. You got to stay in your own lane and worry about yourself and making sure that you know everything. Yeah,
you want to be educated.
Why do we as healthcare professionals think that we can just become travelers and just do it? Like, just go out there and be like, well, I'm an IR tech, so I'm going to go. Yeah. Traveling is its own monster. We prepare for everything we do in the hospital, but we don't prepare fully to be travelers.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
And I think it's like not even intentional. Like for us, it wasn't intentional. Like I'm like type A, I'm a planner. I like to know all of the things. I like to know exactly what to expect and how to like prepare for things. But again, like you only know what you know. And like, I didn't know there was anything to learn. And if you don't know there's anything to learn or you don't know there's questions to ask, you just keep doing the damn thing, right? And that's the point. And so that's what we're trying to create here along with other people that have groups and different things going on, is that we're trying to teach the newer travelers coming in now to start off on the right foot. So you don't have to follow in the path that we all did where we were making like a shit ton of mistakes along the way. Yeah. So the number one thing is preparing yourself, learning all the things now. Learning the things, taking the time to educate yourself, whether you want to spend hours and hours and hours and days trying to kind of piece together information online on different forums and blogs and trying to figure all of that out. That's totally cool. You can do that for sure. We have lots of stuff in our Facebook group as well. Or if you want to make it super freaking simple and have everything that you need all in one place and join Traveler School,
that's there for
we
you
fucking
too.
welcome you to that. It's open. It's open for enrollment. It's closing at the end of the week, and we won't reopen it again until September. But with that being said, the things that you want to think about when you're preparing is understanding the pay packages, right? Understanding how we get paid. Where does that money come from? Where does that money go? How can you rearrange it to get the highest pay? How can you compare contracts? Understanding negotiations, what you can negotiate.
Why?
The why. That's
you were negotiating.
We spend a whole deep lesson on the why, because that's the most important part. You want to be able to be confident in understanding why you should be getting paid something, because you're not asking to be, you're not trying to be greedy. You're just trying to get what's fair, right? So you want to understand why. Obviously tax home.
Yeah.
Interviewing, oh my God, interviewing, all the things, finding housing, finding recruiters, companies, like all of that kind of stuff are things you want to know.
And interviewing and resume building and all those kind of things, because resumes are different as a traveler than they are full-time. And that's something that I'm proud of, is I have actually been on both sides of the fence, hired and fired and a traveler. Awesome. So I know what people are looking for. I know how to read. I want to see the resumes. I know how to skim through them really quick whenever, travelers have a whole bunch of facilities on there. So we teach you all that kind of stuff in Traveler School as well, because those are the things that aren't really talked about in these other groups very much.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of groups out there. Like Laura from Nomadicare has an awesome group, and there's groups galore. So
yeah, there really is. Tracy says, we are set to a higher standard than what the recruiter knows. Taxman don't care that your recruiter said, so due diligence is imperative.
100%.
Perfectly said, exactly. Megan, how many weeks into your current assignment do you know where you're going next? So usually what we do is 6 weeks out. So like standard contracts are usually 13 weeks. Some can be longer, shorter, 13 weeks is usually how it is. 6 weeks out, we'll decide whether we're going to extend. A lot of places will want you to extend, depending on what they have going on. So you'll see, hey, do you want me to extend? If you want to extend, it's up to you, whatever. And if that's not going to happen, then I'll connect with the recruiter and say, hey, what do we have going on? Because you'll kind of know when your next start date is going to be. Like, you'll be able to decide, do I want to take time off in between contracts? Where do you want to go? Do you have to drive there? So you kind of get an idea of when your next start date is going to be. And then you'll start looking into jobs around. That's at least what we do. Maybe a month, 6 weeks to a month, you kind of start feeling out what's going on.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good recruiter. Like, for instance, our recruiter will call us, hey, man, you're 4 weeks out. Here's what I got going on. What's your plan? Because he knows Kim and I take a lot of time off. Kim and I will work a contract, and then we take like 5 months off. So
we never work.
Yeah, we never work. But we've gotten to that point, right? That was our why when we started traveling, which is another thing we talk about in Traveler School, is really defining your why of why you want to travel. Because that keeps you on track when all those things we talked about at the beginning, when it starts to get a little rough, when you start to like have those rough first days, or you're just kind of like, oh God, this is tough.
Why are you doing this?
Why am I doing this? And we get really clear with that stuff. It's an all-inclusive thing. I do, yes, Megan, is all the stuff covered in your Traveler School? 100%.
Oh, God,
Everybody always says they answered the questions that I didn't even know I had. Yeah. That's the big thing that we get a lot, because we cover it. But
yeah, just like a quick rundown of what you can actually expect inside Traveler School for those of you guys who may not be familiar. It's 7 modules, and it's like a couch, like Erran said, couch to traveler. And we literally walk you through step by step by step. And we have each module is a big category. So one category might be pay packages. And then in that module, we break down everything that you need to know about understanding your pay. And it's broken down into little bite-sized, easy to digest lessons, right? So you can go to write what you need. It's all broken down. It's all right there for you. And then the next module might be on how to find a recruiter with Laura from Nomadicare, and there's lessons in there. And then one's on housing, and we walk you through. We've saved over $40,000 finding our own housing. Like, it's my specialty. It's something I'm really good at. And so I have a whole module teaching you how to find your own housing, how to save the most money, how to really get in there and be able to navigate that. So that's a whole module. So it's 7 modules. It's all broken down very easily. It's all in one place. You have lifetime access to it. You can utilize it, go to it whenever you want for the rest of your life once you purchase it. And then there's a whole interactive part.
Well, there is an interactive part. And the one thing I wanted to say was Kim and I are going to be shooting some videos this weekend that update Traveler School. So as traveling industry updates very quickly, Kim and I will go in and we will always update the videos. We will always add them. And then we also have the interactive portion, which a lot of people, I know Tracy's one of our soldiers on there. She is awesome, and so she's been to Traveler School, and she said that she really liked the interactive part because we break down on this exclusive Facebook group that is only for Traveler School. It's all the alumni that have been in Traveler School are there to support you, and then the new students come in, and we break them down week by week. We break down the modules even more in depth, and we really
hey, Laura!
Crack it down. Hey, Laura.
Well, and
speak of the devil.
Literally, like, have your ears been ringing?
Speak of the angel.
We've been like talking about you this whole time. We were just sharing about all the things. But Laura is amazing. Hello, she's the one who does module 3. She comes in, she does a Q&A with you guys. And how it works is that Traveler School actually opens on July 16th, so that's Monday. So the doors open, which means that you get full access to all of the modules, all of the bonuses, everything, the Facebook group, everything is yours. You can have it for the rest of your life. You can either binge watch it in a weekend if that's what you want to do. A lot of people do that. They'll send us pictures of them like drinking wine and like watching all of our videos in one weekend. If you don't have that kind of time and you want to go through it over 6 months, you can totally do that too. It is yours to go through in a way that feels good. But you also can be a part of the Facebook group, which we highly, highly encourage.
Why not?
In that group, we walk you through module by module by module. We do module recaps every single week. We do Q&As, and we just dive deeper into all of the things to make sure that you guys are really understanding what you're learning and you feel supported the entire way. That's our biggest goal. We want you to feel supported. And have fun while you're learning.
Exactly.
That's the point.
Exactly. Caitlin said, do you guys discuss health insurance in traveler school? And it's funny because Tracy just said it, and then Laura just came on. So Laura did a whole training on health insurance, and then we put that link in traveler school.
It's also on our YouTube channel too.
But we also talk about how the company's health insurance works, right?
Yeah.
In traveler school. So we basically, but Laura went above and beyond. She went out there to see like what you could do to get coverage without being part of the agencies, or how that all works. So that is a priceless lesson to have.
For sure.
And then yes, we do talk about that. But basically, just a quick little thing is you're covered while you're under contract. And some companies start you 30 days. Some companies start you dead on the first day. And then you basically have 24 days within that time. If you resign, then you continue your coverage. If you re-signed another contract with a company.
But all companies are so different. So
right.
You really got to, these are the kinds of questions that you'll be asking when you're looking, because they're all so different. So I don't want to give like information that may not be true across the board, right?
Well, I was going to say that at the end,
but
I was just giving a quick explanation. But
okay, power team right here. Yes, ma'am. Okay, and so the last thing we'll say about Traveler School is that for everybody on this training, we're doing it on Facebook now because of all of our technical difficulties, but we are offering a 15% coupon code that will be good for the next 48 hours. Will be good until Friday, and it gives you 15% off of the original price of Traveler School. We also offer a payment option, so we make it super, super simple, and the 15% applies to that payment plan as well. And for anybody who is on this training, we're offering a free 30-minute coaching call where you can get on the phone with us. You can ask us any questions you have. We will go over your contract with you, pay packages. Just talk about anything that you feel like you need support with.
For instance, to throw it out there, we had a traveler from the last Traveler School. We had a couple of them, but we had one in particular that was kind of a unique situation. She was going on her first contract, and they were presenting her with like 3 different packages. And so she called, she says, I need your help now. We set up a time to call, and I spoke with her, and we basically just looked over her pay packages. I finagled some numbers. We talked about it, and we found her the best possible contract we could with the best possible pay. She came out making $248 more a week. Because of what it is, because of our conversation and stuff like that. So it's very valuable to have, and so we want to throw that out there to you guys. And this is exclusive just to the people who are going to be on this training specifically. You get the 30-minute call and the 15% off. And it's just a really cool experience. If you go on our YouTube channel, you can see what past students have said, their feedback, their testimonials. It's really beautiful. It's a beautiful community of supportive friends that are there to share the love and to learn and to have fun while we're learning. That is one thing. Is like we're learning a bunch of stuff. Some of it's really fun, right? Traveling is really fun. It's exciting. But some of the stuff that we're learning to set ourselves up for success can be a little bit boring, right? Like tax homes and that. It's like that's not that fun. But we really try to make it as fun as possible. We share a lot of stories. We give lots of tips. And we just try to have fun in the community. And I do think that's one thing that we do pretty well. Damn right. I think so. Well, we had fun shooting it. So we really did. My God, you have to watch the bloopers. Oh, watch the bloopers if you haven't seen those. This one's out of control. You have to remember, just a side note here, we're going to wrap this up, but it took us months and months and months and months to film Traveler School. It's like 62 videos. And we literally locked ourselves in a house in San Diego. Beautiful San Diego. Beautiful, sunny, warm San Diego. Every weekend. And we stared at the camera, and we filmed, and we like literally didn't take breaks, and we were just like in the zone, and it was so much fun. But obviously we got a little kooky, a little weird, and shit went down, and of course the camera was always rolling, so it captured some interesting moments. So we made a bloopers reel, which is like us to a T. Like if you want to know who we are for real. For reals. It's insane. What's funny is, and I'll give you a little insider's tip. If you watch the modules, you will see like the first module is very sunny, And then as the time goes through the module, it starts to get real dark. And that's basically, Kim and I would start shooting at like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. And then it wouldn't be until like 9 p.m. and you'd see the sun going down in the windows behind us. So it's kind of funny to watch. And the glare would come on Kim's face. We'd have to adjust the windows. And oh man,
I did not like to be called glare face. Let's just say that right now. But anyways, that's kind of what we'll leave with tonight. And again, our intention behind creating this program was to create a space for travelers to have everything they needed to know in one place, to make it easy, to make it simple, right? To make your time as a traveler as easy as possible and as the most fun as possible, and to have a supportive community and to have everything you need to know and to feel like you're in good hands and you're supported through this. And so I feel like that's what we created.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Pamela said, cool. I didn't know once you purchase the Traveler School, you can watch the modules for life.
Yeah,
yes, you can.
girl.
I'm not planning on traveling for at least 4 years, so didn't want to do it yet, but may do it one in September. Perfect. Yeah. It's always there.
We launch it for like 4 times a year.
3 or 4 times a year because of the 7-week live modules. And then we take some time off to just be ourselves.
Just like do life.
Can you see what's out there before you commit? Megan, are you talking about like when you see jobs?
Yeah.
So
Listen. Go ahead. I was just gonna go ahead.
So basically, once you can establish a recruiter, right? Like you can have that relationship and talk to them and take the time and just say, I'm not sure when I want to go, or this is when I want to go. And then you can talk to them and say, hey, what's out there right now? Like what's going on? What are you seeing? What are you seeing from my field, ultrasound? And what jobs are out there and where at? And then they would present you with a whole list. So sometimes our recruiter would send us an entire list of jobs all across the country and says, you know, which one looks good? Do you want to kind of see what the details of some are? And that's yes or no.
And you can also like call a couple different companies, even if you're not planning to work with them. You could call and just get a beat on like, hey, what jobs are out there? Like, how does it look for ultrasound right now? Like, are there tons of options? Can I go a lot of different places? Like, what's going on? Also, with Nomadicare, she has an option where if you have a specific place that you want to go, say you want to go to California because it's freaking amazing and there's lots of jobs out there, lots of ultrasound jobs, you can say specifically, hey, I want to go in this area or I want to go in this area, and she can hook you up with a company or recruiter that has jobs in that area more specifically to kind of up your chances of being in that area. So there's definitely tons of ways to kind of feel out, and you don't have to commit to anything. Don't feel like just because you're putting the feelers out there, right, that you have to like commit and like put in your notice. Like put some feelers out, get a vibe of what's happening.
Laura and Kim, I have a question though. If you did say that, and Laura, if you're still on here, I saw you flicking up the likes, which I love to see.
Like the heart.
But if she cold called basically and asked a recruiter what jobs were out there, would that recruiter have her in a database? And now when she called back, she would be assigned to that recruiter?
That's a good question, actually. I don't know. Okay, so we just, I'm not sure. Like, that's actually a really good question. Like, unless you're locked in, can you just call places and kind of explore, or like who you talk? No, because I would think you're not sending them your resume. You're not sending them a skills checklist. You're just trying to see what jobs are out there. That's what I want to say.
I didn't know, Laura, I didn't know if you knew that right offhand, if somebody called and just asked. Yeah, they make it hard to switch once you talk to one.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So that's something to definitely think about. And I will say too, like if you go on AMN, Club Staffing, or whatever company, they'll have like a list of jobs that they have, but like none of them are really updated. You're like, oh my God, there's so many jobs.
Well, things flip so fast.
There's not as many as like you think.
Things are turning over very quickly.
They do make it hard to switch. Yep. Just from talking to them. That's interesting. Well, you know, I'm a sonographer too, Megan, and we can chat, and so I can, you know, kind of get a beat on what's going out there with jobs in ultrasound and like, you know, whatever. But
Megan knows you're a sonographer.
I know, babe, but I'm talking to her. Jeez. Anyways, okay.
Yeah. And again, we say this because I just saw Pamela posted. Some agencies post their jobs online to look at. Absolutely. But again, you know, this field moves quickly, and a lot of times I'm like, hey, I've seen that job, and they're like, oh no, that's gone.
Yeah.
And they don't actually update it quick enough. We do see that, but some companies now are turning more digital where their jobs are online, right? It's moving that way.
Yeah.
So lots of things, people. Lots
of things.
But tomorrow
things.
we don't want to fire hose you.
We're gonna end it tonight. It's been an hour per usual. Thank you for dealing with us with all the tech stuff. We're sorry about all of that and being late and having to come here, but thank you guys for showing up anyways. We love having you guys with us. We know it's late. And so we'll end here. We'll put the link where you could go check out Traveler School. If you're interested, you can get all the details, what's in the modules, and we'll post what coupon code to use. And then tomorrow we will do part 2, and that is where we're really going to dive into the money portion of this, and we're going to focus on how to prepare to start traveling financially, how much money you need, things to think about when you're in transition as a traveler. You do need to kind of be set up kind of to get from A to B, and how much money we make as a traveler. We're going to talk more about that kind of stuff. So definitely join us tomorrow, same time, apparently the same place because the other server or webinar thing wasn't working. But if anything changes, we'll keep you guys posted for sure.
Yep.
So thank you guys for being with us. We love all of you. And our replayers, you know, there's going to be a lot of people watching the replay. Ask us, post any questions. We're here to support you guys.
And yes, there was a question that popped up here that you
hey,
can.
Andrew,
Stranger,
wow. Pal.
Where the hell have you been, my friend?
Like, dude, where's Drew at? Hey, Drew.
There will be a replay, so this will sit live, so you guys can go back and watch it if you missed it. So
Laura said, "Keep rocking." Everyone sign up for the course. I can't wait to see you in there.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, and just one more thing that we didn't talk about is in the interactive group. We also do interviews with other leaders in the industry. Laura did one last time. We're going to have her back so you guys can pick her brain and ask her questions because she's a plethora of knowledge. She's like the guru. She's so knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And we're going to have other people in there to interview. So it's a cool like group to be a part of all the things. So anyhow.
Damn right.
That's a wrap. We have missed you, Andrew.
I
know. You need to come out from under that rock, boo.
I know.
We were literally just talking about you.
We were.
Hope you're doing good.
I know.
And sending everybody so much love.
You're in 3.
module 3. So the third week, Laura will be there live.
That's right.
You guys.
Live. Laura and Traveler School group.
Live.
Yep.
Q&A. All right, guys, we're gonna hang up here, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. There was no other questions, right?
No, tomorrow. Money. That's what we're talking about.
Money. Bring your questions. We're going to do all the things money.
Yes, we are.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Mimi.
I'm sweating.